A cow.
Okay,
Yeah.
training. He trains everybody, but I invited him here because he does an awesome job with kiddo athletes, youth athletes. So we'll let him start, and then Kate's going to wow us with eyeball stuff, which I'm very excited about also, and then we'll leave. Yay!
Awesome. Well, appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you for having me out to speak and share my passion for what I do. So yeah, it's talking about youth sports performance training and just the importance of it. So, tell you a little bit about myself. My name is David McCow. A lot of people know me as Trainer Dave or Coach Dave. Like Joey said, I am a personal trainer and a strength conditioning coach, but I specialize in training athletes. So I've trained youth athletes, high school athletes, college athletes, even adult athletes. So that's really where my passion lies, is sports performance. And I was once an athlete. I played, I was born and raised here in Wichita, Kansas. And then I played football at Coffeyville Community College. Then I went to Friends University, where I graduated with a degree in health and physical education, and played a couple of years of semi-pro football with the Wichita Force. And yeah, I've been training athletes and clients for about 4 years now, and definitely love what I do. So kind of talking about my why, like why do I do what I do? Honestly, Joey and any trainer probably knows there's a lot of downfalls that come with it, long hours, instability, stuff like that. So I kind of always have to ask myself, why do I do what I do? And, just looking at this picture is really my why. Like I said, I've worked with a wide variety of athletes from a lot of different schools, different sports, different ages. And I can even just look at this picture and kind of tell you about some of these kids. And, like up there's Mulvane baseball players. That was a college strength conditioning class I taught. This special group, actually tomorrow, Kaylee, the blonde-haired girl, I'm going to watch her at the state track meet at WSU tomorrow. So that's just super rewarding to see your athletes compete. I've got some Andover youth football players. This was from a speed clinic that I ran. It's a youth softball girl, youth basketball players, my Mulvane guys again, and shockwave volleyball. So a little bit of everything, but really for me, it's the relationships that I get to build from doing this, the lives that I get to impact, and just being that extra person that cares about them is just super rewarding to me. Alright, so I'm going to talk about the benefits. So I think a lot of times when people think about the benefits of sports performance training, they think just the physical benefits of running faster and jumping higher, and that's all great stuff. But for me, I think the mental benefits are just as important, if not more important. So number one is increasing self-confidence. This is huge for me because a lot of times I'll get athletes, a lot of times they don't believe in themselves. Maybe they're skinny, they're not very strong. And then after several months of training, they start to believe in themselves a little bit more. They start to see that progress, and it helps increase their self-confidence. And to me, that's just super rewarding because it's like they turn into a whole different person, and that's huge for me. Number two is have fun. I want my athletes to look forward to coming to their session with me. I know a lot of times when you work with a trainer or a coach, it can be a little intimidating. So for me, it's important to make it fun, and try to make it fun for myself too. Like, I got a group of baseball kids that will play spike ball competitions almost every time. Today I was training the volleyball girl. We had a free throw contest. So little things like that, because I want to make my session with my athletes, I want that to be the best hour of their day. Number three is social interaction and team building. I think this is big, especially now it's summertime for kids. Obviously it's kind of sad where the generation and society is shifting with technology and video games and phones. You know, especially like so now at summertime, a lot of kids, you know, they're not in school, so they may not be able to have that face-to-face interaction with their peers. And so even if it's just a one-on-one session with me like that, I understand that a lot of times that can be the only conversation they have with somebody outside of their family. So that's big for me. And then also a lot of times I like to train athletes in groups. So whether it be with their teammates or even with somebody that's close to their age, and maybe they don't know each other yet, but after training with each other, they build relationships and they become friends, and like that's super awesome to see, you know, those friendships grow. And then, of course, when I do train groups, I like to do a lot of team building stuff. So just the importance of working as a team is super important. So a lot of times we'll do things like tug of war, relay races, try and make it fun for them, but also teach them how to compete and work together. And then lastly, just life lessons. You know, things like the importance of working hard, the importance of setting goals for yourself, showing up on time, being a great teammate, and being a great human being. Because I feel like, you know, if I train an athlete and they're a great athlete, but they're not the best human being, I feel like I'm failing that athlete, and I'm also failing their parents. So the mental benefits is huge for me. And then we go to the physical benefits. Again, this is what a lot of people like. You know, number one is help them become a better athlete. So whatever sport they play, I want them, you know, whatever they do in the weight room, I want that to translate to their sport. So, and also just helping them run faster, helping them jump higher, help them become stronger and more powerful. And then also help them improve agility, you know, their change of direction, their hand-eye coordination, their reaction time, and balance. Lastly, the biggest one for me is prevent injury. That's huge. Kind of in two different areas. Number one, obviously injuries are very prevalent in sports. You know, ACL tears, sprained ankles, shoulder injuries. So I want to try and be proactive with my athletes and do things to prevent that. So whether it's a volleyball player, I want to help strengthen their shoulders. If it's a football player, I want to help, you know, help them build a strong lower body. That way they don't tear an ACL. And then number two is just, as a trainer, I like to think like a lawyer. So, you know, a lot of times in high school weight programs and some trainers and coaches, they'll have them max out on barbell squats or barbell bench press on day one. And for me, I like to focus on the fundamentals, focus on the basics, and, you know, teach them how to move properly, progress them slowly. But preventing injury is probably just one of the biggest things for me as a trainer. So yeah, I believe that's really everything I wanted to talk about. I did have a video I wanted to show you. I think this is a pretty good.
I'm 15% sure this is it.
I think it will. I think you just.
Oh, I did it!
Yes, awesome.
You want me to pause it first?
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Okay. So yeah. So I want to show a video just because I think this is a good snippet of like kind of what a session would look like. This was actually from a speed clinic that I ran. So I had youth athletes, I had some college athletes there, but just kind of a quick minute video of what a session would look like.
The real question is, where is the sound coming from?
Well, sound doesn't matter too much. think that's pretty much everything for the video. Again, kind of just a little snippet of what it would look like. Let's go back to this first slide. So, I guess last thing, just kind of closing notes before we have questions. Really, the best way to reach me is social media. I don't really have a website, but at David Acow Training on Instagram. Also Facebook, David Acow. And I do have some business cards with my cell phone number if anybody wants to contact me. But if anybody has any athletes that are interested in training, or else if you know of anybody that's interested, definitely ask you please keep me in mind and help spread the word. And yeah, thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Now, what about kids who don't already play a sport?
Yeah, I have worked with some of those kids, and I think it's really good for them to build a foundation in the weight room, just learn how to move properly, strengthen their muscles. That way, when they do, if they do decide to enter a sport, they're ready. But also, even if they don't decide to play a sport, that's okay. I think, like I said, the mental benefits of learning how to lift weights and increasing the self-confidence, I think that's super important, even if they don't play sports.
What age do you start training?
Pretty much any age. I think my youngest client's 8 years old. I don't train my youth athletes the same way I train a high school athlete. With kids, the younger kids, it can be kind of hard to keep them engaged the whole time. So a lot of fun games, stuff like that. Just kind of how I approach those youth athletes.
How much is overtraining?
How much? Okay.
How many times a week, or
I would even just 1 to 2 times a week is good. It kind of depends on what they're doing. I do a lot of body weight stuff with kids to start off, which that's not going to be too taxing on their body. Once they learn how to lift weights, I'd say maybe 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, usually starting off small.
Where are you located?
So I train out of a bunch of different locations. I train out of Amplify in Bel Air, inside of Hoops. I do train out of Foundations Fitness downtown. I do train out of Derby at D3 Training. Also, I've done some stuff at B Strong on the west side. So kind of whatever. I'm all over the place. So yeah, usually whatever's best for the client, I can make it work.
Do you have any speed clinics coming up? Are they going to sit on the
I don't.
Instagram, or no?
Yeah, I usually post them on the
He does
Instagram.
a lot of
Every day. So that's the best way to see that stuff. But yeah, I don't have any plan in the future. I just did some a couple months ago. But yeah, that's definitely something I'll plan on doing. And usually, even if it's a youth team and they want some training or they want a clinic for their team, if they just reach out to me, I'm usually happy to do that just for free to kind of get the name out and get in front of some athletes.
Do you do any nutrition with the kids?
Basic stuff. Obviously I don't write them a meal plan or anything like that, but teaching them like the importance of drinking water, eating a lot of protein. A lot of times for these kids, especially my high school athletes, just the importance of fueling their body, eating a lot, especially with the guys that are trying to gain weight. That's huge just because of how active they are, they're constantly burning calories. So usually I try to talk about that, just the basic importance of nutrition and fueling their bodies, helping them educate on that stuff.
Speaking to Sheena's question about the overtraining, so if you have a kid that does a lot of different sports, and then so they have like practice soccer on Monday and then basketball on Tuesday, but every single day, do you still encourage them to do this, or?
I do, yeah. And I always try to work with the parents and the athlete on their schedule, because that's a very real thing. Especially summertime. There's conditioning, there's camps, there's sport practices. So
2 days.
Exactly. So it can be, but kind of me trying to learn what they're doing. Like if they had weights class in the morning, their legs are shot. Well, maybe we'll do more upper body and core. Maybe it's more recovery stuff, just stretching, mobility. But there's always a way to work around it, and so I think communication is probably the biggest thing.
Nice. Any other questions? Rylan, do you have any questions? Oh my God, don't talk. Cool. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
you.